Okay, let's just jump right into it. Today, we're tackling what is probably the most profound, yet totally ignored crisis of our modern lives. We're talking about this invisible prison we've somehow built around ourselves. We'll break down exactly how it's quietly stealing our freedom, and more importantly, how we can actually get it back in this explainer.
You are dying. I know. It sounds incredibly harsh to start off with, right? But honestly, it's the absolute truest thing about human existence. With literally every ticking second, we're stepping one measure closer to the end. But here is the wild, tragic irony of it all. Our biggest fear isn't actually that our precious time is slipping away. No way. Our biggest fear is sitting around wondering why our neighbor has a bigger, shinier car than we do. We are literally terrified of all the wrong things.
The great Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said something that hits so hard. He said, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Just think about that for a second. We've been gifted this incredibly fleeting, beautiful life. And what are we doing with it? A lot of the time, we're just sitting alone in a room, staring at a cold piece of glass, looking at the highly edited lives of total strangers, and kind of cursing the very reality we've been blessed with.
Which really brings us to what we can only call the cage of modern life. I mean, ask yourself right now, do you honestly think you're completely free? Well, the harsh truth is that for the vast majority of us out there, the answer is a hard no. We're basically living as modern-day slaves, but we're these totally unaware heroes in our own tragedy. We actually believe our cages are castles.
It's wild because this completely changes what slavery looks like today. In the 21st century, chains aren't made of heavy iron anymore. They're totally invisible. They're made out of cheap dopamine hits from an algorithm that is literally designed to keep you scrolling forever. They're forged by this desperate, exhausting need for social media likes, and they're locked super tight by the massive EMI debt we just willingly take on. Think about it. We are putting ourselves in financial chokeholds, buying stuff we absolutely don't need, with money we don't even have, just to impress people we don't even like. It's crazy.
So to really get the depth of this trap, we gotta look at an old childhood fable. It's a story of the crow and the peacock, and I promise you, by the end of this story, you're either gonna lose sleep tonight or you are finally gonna break out of your digital cage. Let's set the scene here.
Okay, so on one side, we have the crow. It's plain, it's black, its voice isn't exactly winning any singing competitions, right? But it's totally free. And most importantly, it's happy because it has no concept of the poison of comparison. But then, one day, the crow sees a swan, then a parrot, and finally, it sees a peacock, and the peacock is just breathtaking. It's surrounded by crowds of people taking photos, so the crow looks at the peacock and thinks, wow, this has got to be the absolute happiest bird in the entire world. But here comes the twist. The peacock looks back at the crow with just incredible sadness and says, "Are you kidding? I am physically trapped in this zoo entirely because of my beauty. People are constantly plucking my feathers for souvenirs. Honestly, I wish I were a crow so I could just fly away."
Now, obviously, this isn't just a cute bedtime story about birds. This is the exact psychology of comparison that is running modern society right now. That peacock, that's the wealthy-looking social media influencer you see online every single day. That's the celebrity flashing this flawless, perfect lifestyle. And you're the crow. You are fundamentally free, but you're completely blind to it, sitting there miserable because you actually want to be locked inside the peacock's cage.
And the science backs this up beautifully, by the way. It's called social comparison theory. Basically, it's a psychological phenomenon that explains how we are constantly comparing our messy, chaotic, behind-the-scenes reality with someone else's perfectly curated highlight reel. And when we do that, our brain just gets completely tricked into believing we're fundamentally inadequate. It's an endless, totally unwinnable race. You're out there exhausting yourself in a marathon that only exists in your own head, triggered by literal pixels on your phone.
What's fascinating is that ancient wisdom diagnosed this exact disease thousands of years ago. The Bhagavad Gita essentially points out that dwelling on the objects of the senses, basically obsessing over what other people have, creates attachment. And that attachment, it inevitably leads to this insatiable desire, which always ends in anger and frustration. Every time you compare your life to someone else's, you're taking the remote control to your own happiness and just handing it right over to society.
Think back to that peacock getting its feathers plucked by the crowd. Well, the modern world is plucking your feathers every single day. But what are your feathers, right? They are your time, and your attention. You are trading your most incredibly valuable, non-renewable resources to maintain this totally fake status. We lock ourselves into 30-year EMI traps just to look rich, and in doing that, we sacrifice the exact freedom that makes life actually worth living. We are literally paying cash for our own cages.
Okay, but here's where we pivot. Because just understanding the trap is only half the battle. How do we actually break out of this digital zoo? Well, the source material lays out 4 super actionable steps to break the cage and get your life back. Let's just walk through them really quick.
Step 1 is mental detachment. You really have to actively disconnect your self-worth from all that external validation. It's absolutely crucial. Step 2 is building real wealth. And I mean actual assets, investments, peace of mind, not just the flashy illusion of it. Step 3 is super practical for the world we live in today. Learn high-income skills and master leverage using tools like AI. You've got to adapt to the modern economy if you want to financially fund your freedom. And step 4, well, let's actually look at step 4 a bit closer, because honestly, it's the most profound one of all.
Step 4 is identifying your Svadharma. Now, Svadharma basically means your own unique duty and your authentic path in life. The Gita teaches this genuinely brilliant concept. It is infinitely better to stumble and fail while walking your own true, authentic path than to perfectly and successfully copy the trajectory of someone else's life. Your path is yours alone. We have got to stop trying to run someone else's race.
And this brings us to the ultimate realization: reclaiming your sky. Look, the world is massive. The opportunities out there are absolutely boundless. And yet, we waste our limited time just imitating other people. It is time to stop playing the victim card. Stop complaining about the head starts others might have or the things you feel you lack. You have to realize that your time, your inherent freedom, your life exactly as it is right now, that is your absolute greatest wealth.
But if you want to reclaim that sky, you've got to leave laziness behind. Let's be real, no one is coming to save you. There's no white knight riding over the hill. You have to fight your own battles and take absolute ownership of your life starting today. Turn off the endless scrolling. Pick up a book. Start building those high-income skills we talked about. And yeah, sure, your starting point might literally be 0. You might not have the mansion or the luxury car. But you know what? You have something that caged peacock doesn't. You have your sky.
You have to make discipline your god. Remember, being the plain, everyday crow doesn't mean you're weak. It actually means you are invincible. Nobody wants to put a plain crow in a cage. The moment you start respecting what is on your own plate, the moment you put your head down, focus purely on your own journey, and stop obsessing over everyone else's plate, that is the exact moment you stop being a prisoner. You become the absolute king of your own domain.
So I'm going to leave you with this lingering question today. The cage or the sky? What will you choose? Because you are not put on this earth to be some second-rate copy of someone else. You are an original masterpiece. It is time to drop the poison of comparison, spread your own wings, and fly so incredibly high that the rest of the world can do nothing but look up in wonder. The sky is yours. Go claim it.